I stand alone in my kitchen, surrounded by the aftermath of Thanksgiving dinner. Crystal wine glasses catch the soft pendant lights, half empty and abandoned on my granite countertops. A caterer quietly stacks plates in the background, avoiding my gaze as I stare at my phone, my fingers white against the screen. My father's voice plays through the speaker, each word a precise, calculated cut. "All you do is take, Sloan. You've never given this family anything that matters." The message ends. I hit replay. His voice fills the silence again, the same cutting words. My breathing feels shallow, caught somewhere between disbelief and something harder, something with edges. "All you do is take." I press my palm against the cool countertop to steady myself. The caterers move around me like I'm a statue they need to avoid. One of them drops a fork with a sharp clatter that makes me flinch. 3 hours earlier, I'd been arranging fresh flowers in the entryway when the doorbell rang. My stomach had tightened that familiar knot of hope and dread that accompanied every family gathering. I smoothed my camel cashmere sweater, checked my reflection in the hallway mirror, and opened the door with a smile that felt both genuine and rehearsed. "Mom, Dad," I'd said, stepping back to welcome them in. "Happy Thanksgiving." Mom swept past me, her critical gaze already scanning my foyer. "Those curtains are new, a bit dramatic for this space, don't you think?" Dad merely nodded in my direction, distracted by a call he refused to end even as he crossed my threshold. I swallowed the first ripple of disappointment. "The caterers are setting up in the dining room. Can I get you something to drink?" Before either could answer, Tessa's BMW pulled into the driveway. My sister emerged in a cloud of expensive perfume, her perfect blowout unmoved by the November breeze. Cody trailed behind her, hungover and unshaven, but still managing his trademark charming smile. "Sloan," Tessa Air kissed near my cheek. "You look tired. Business keeping you up?" "Business is good," I replied, choosing not to mention the all-nighter I'd pulled to finish the hotel lobby design that would pay for this dinner. No one offered to help as I moved between the kitchen and dining room. They sat in my living room, drinking the wine I'd carefully selected, critiquing my choice of artwork while I confirmed the caterer's timing and checked place settings. When we finally gathered around the table, imported linens, heirloom china I'd sourced myself, Dad cleared his throat for a toast. I felt a flicker of warmth. Maybe this time. "To family," he said, raising his glass. "The people who always come through when it matters most." My smile froze as his gaze passed over me without landing. The others nodded in solemn agreement, as if they were the ones who had saved the family home during the pandemic. As if they had been the ones making monthly transfers to cover Tessa's divorce attorney or Cody's perpetually late rent. "The turkey looks dry," Mom whispered loudly as I served her plate. Later, as dessert plates were cleared, Tessa pulled me aside with that particular smile that always preceded a request. "The boys need new hockey equipment," she began, with the divorce settlement still pending. I barely heard the rest. My mind flashed to the $45,000 I'd loaned my parents in 2020 with a formal agreement drafted by my lawyer, Daniel, money that had never been acknowledged since, let alone repaid. I thought about the lakeside cabin I'd purchased outright, a place where my family could gather, where perhaps they might finally see me. They'd used it constantly but never once thanked me. Now, standing in my empty kitchen, I unlock my phone and open my banking app. The list of recurring transfers stares back at me. $2,000 monthly to my parents. $1,500 to Tessa. $950 to Cody for his temporary housing situation that had lasted 3 years. My father's voice echoes again in my head. "You've never given this family anything that matters." A single tear slides down my cheek, leaving a cool trail that feels like clarity. My finger hovers over the first recurring payment, then I press cancel, and the next, and the next. My breath comes easier with each cancellation. The kitchen suddenly feels larger, as if the walls have moved back an inch. The caterer glances at me curiously as a small sound escapes my lips, something between a laugh and a gasp. "If I've never given anything," I whisper, tucking my phone away, "then I suppose I can stop giving now." Next day, or dawn to be more precise, I slide my small leather weekender into the trunk of my car before sunrise. The neighborhood sleeps. Blinds drawn, porch lights casting puddles of yellow on empty driveways. My hands shake slightly as I check my phone one last time, the screen blurry through unshed tears. 27 missed calls, 43 text messages, all from people who apparently need something from a woman they claim never gives. The cabin outside Portland. I whisper to myself as I start the engine, the dashboard clock reading 5:17 a.m. 3 hours after canceling those payments, sleep had become impossible. Each time I closed my eyes, my father's voice played on repeat. All you do is take. I pulled away from the Georgian colonial I'd renovated myself, with its perfect symmetry and carefully curated interior that none of my family had ever truly appreciated. The tires whisper against wet pavement as I leave Austin behind. Texas hill country unfolds in my rearview mirror, still cloaked in darkness. My fingertips hover over my phone as I drive north. One button, airplane mode, feels like a declaration of independence. Let them wonder, I whisper, pressing it firmly. The silence that follows feels like the first clean breath after years of swimming underwater. By mid-morning, I cross the Oklahoma border. A light snow dusts the roadside, transforming the landscape into something unrecognizable from the home I left behind. Perfect metaphor, I think, allowing myself the smallest smile. 3 days later, I stood on the deck of a cedar cabin tucked into dense Oregon forest. Pine and petrichor fill my lungs. No one knows I'm here except Daniel, my lawyer, who promised discretion. Mist hangs between tall trees, obscuring their tops, like the fog that's finally lifting from my mind. I spread my sketchbook on the rough-hewn table, pencil moving across the page without conscious thought. Designs flow that have nothing to do with client requests or family approval. Just pure creativity, unburdened. For the first time in years, I slept through the night. Meanwhile, in Austin, my phone charging but silenced on the kitchen counter of my empty house collects their panic like a digital confession booth. Sloan, my car payment bounced. Call me immediately. Tessa's voice is shrill, indignant, as if my money has always been hers by right. Hey sis, something weird happened with my rent. The landlord's threatening eviction. Need to talk as soon as possible. Cody's artificial casualness barely masking his alarm. Sloan Elizabeth, this isn't funny. The mortgage notifications say call us back this instant. My mother's voice breaking on the last word. Their messages pile up as days turn to weeks. From demand to confusion, to anger to fear. The arc of entitlement facing its first real challenge. I lose track of time in my woodland sanctuary. I hike until my muscles burn. I sketch until my hand cramps. I sit by the fireplace and watch flames dance, mesmerized by their constant change, their hungry beauty. On my final morning, 3 weeks after my departure, I stand at the cabin's picture window watching an eagle circle above the pines. I've booked this place for several more weekends throughout the coming year. My escape hatch, my breathing room. I'm ready, I tell the eagle, though it can't hear me through the glass. The drive back to Texas feels different. The land no longer looks like something I'm leaving, but something I'm choosing. My hands rest easy on the steering wheel. My shoulders drop from my ears where they've lived for years. I arrive home after midnight. My house welcomes me with familiar smells, lemon furniture polish, the faint spice of the potpourri I mixed myself. I water my neglected plants and run my fingers over the spines of books on my shelves, all mine, chosen with care. Morning light streams through east-facing windows, catching dust motes in golden beams. I stand in my kitchen, coffee warming my palms through ceramic, and turn off airplane mode. My phone convulses with notifications, hundreds of them. Text messages, voicemails, emails, the digital equivalent of a temper tantrum. The final one, from yesterday, is a voicemail from Tessa. They repossessed my car today, her voice breaks. In front of the boys. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? What kind of sister are you? I set my coffee down and typed a single message to the family group chat. Thought I never gave this family anything. The responses flood in instantly. Where have you been? How could you do this to us? We've been worried sick. Is this some kind of breakdown? Not one message contains the word sorry. I called Daniel's office and scheduled a meeting for tomorrow. Then I silence my phone again and walk to my design table. Sunlight pours across the surface, illuminating the sketches I've brought back from Oregon. Designs untainted by obligation or expectation. I run my fingers over the paper, feeling the slight indentations where my pencil pressed hardest. These designs are mine alone, born from silence and space and something that feels dangerously like freedom. My father's voice still echoes sometimes. All you do is take. But now I hear what's hidden beneath those words, his fear that I might stop giving. I pick up my pencil and add a final line to my sketch. Bold, unwavering, the foundation of everything to come. Next day, the landline in my office rang for the 7th time this morning. I watch the cord sway with each shrill ring, refusing to reach for it. My assistant Margot appears in the doorway, her silver-framed glasses catching the light. "Your mother again," she says, her voice gentle but firm. "Want me to tell her you're in a client meeting?" I nod, turning my attention back to the hotel lobby sketches spread across my drafting table. The Marquee project represents the largest contract of my career, a complete redesign of their downtown Austin property. 60,000 square feet of possibility. "And Sloan?" Margot lingers. "Cody's downstairs in the lobby. Again." The pencil in my hand snaps. I set the broken pieces down carefully, controlling my breathing the way Daniel suggested during our last meeting. "Tell him I'm unavailable." I straighten my spine. "And that if he shows up intoxicated at my office again, I'll have security escort him out." Margot nods, her eyes softening with something between concern and admiration. 3 weeks have passed since I canceled the payments. 3 weeks of escalating panic from my family. 3 weeks of discovering my own backbone. 20 minutes later, the elevator chimes its arrival downstairs, followed by the unmistakable sound of Cody's voice rising in volume. I press my palms against the cool surface of my drafting table. "You can't keep avoiding us." His words carry clearly through the open office layout. "Mom needs her medication. Do you even care?" My hands tremble slightly. I wait for the wash of guilt that usually follows any family confrontation. It doesn't come. The security guard's lower voice rumbles in response, followed by the sharp ding of the elevator doors closing. Silence follows. My phone vibrates against the table. Tessa's third text of the morning. "Mom's blood pressure is through the roof because of you. Hope you're happy playing the victim while your family suffers." I place the phone face down and return to my sketches. The irony isn't lost on me that while my family life crumbles, my professional life blooms. Yesterday, the Marquee owners approved my preliminary designs without a single revision, a first in my career. The door opens without a knock. Daniel strides in, his leather briefcase swinging lightly against his leg. Without a word, he places a folder on my desk. "They're contesting the cabin deed," he says, loosening his tie. "Claiming you purchased it under false pretenses as a family property, not a personal one." I laugh without humor. False pretenses? I have emails where they specifically asked for a lakeside property with at least 4 bedrooms. Daniel settles into the chair across from my drafting table. "They're also telling people you're having some sort of breakdown." Breakdown. I taste the word, because I stopped paying their bills. "Your cousin Leah called my office this morning," Daniel says, watching my reaction. "Wanted me to know your parents have been telling the extended family you're mentally unstable." My stomach tightens. Leah and I grew up close before distance, and adult lives pulled us apart. The thought of her hearing these lies makes something shift in my chest. "What did she say?" I ask, my voice smaller than I'd like. Daniel's face breaks into a rare smile. "She said, and I quote, 'Tell Sloan it's about damn time she stopped carrying them.'" Something uncoils inside me. Someone sees. Someone understands. My phone buzzes again, a family group text from my father. "Your behavior is destroying this family. We've always supported your little design business. This is how you repay us?" Little design business. The business that paid their mortgage for 2 years. The business that funded Tessa's divorce attorney. The business that keeps a roof over Cody's head. I slide the phone toward Daniel. "Add this to the evidence folder." He nods, slipping it into his briefcase. The 90-day notice was delivered yesterday. They have until the 15th of March to repay the loan. The 15th of March. 12 more weeks until the reckoning. I picture the calendar in my mind, marking off the days until I reclaim what's mine, and not just the money, but my dignity. They'll escalate, I say, not a question but a certainty. Count on it. Daniel stands, straightening his jacket. Have you considered staying somewhere else until this blows over? Your address is public record. I nod and we create a plan. 2 hours later, Margot appears again, her expression tight. Tessa's downstairs with her kids, she says. The receptionist says the boys are running around the lobby, pulling fabric samples off the walls. My nieces. Emotional ammunition. I feel a stab of genuine pain, missing their sticky hands and gap-toothed smiles, but using children as pawns crosses a line even I hadn't anticipated. Have security ask them to leave. I say, my voice steady despite the churning in my stomach. Tell Tessa she can schedule an appointment if she needs to speak with me professionally. Margot nods, retreating to make the call. Daniel gives me an appraising look. You're stronger than they expected, he says. The compliment sits uncomfortably. Strength wasn't what I wanted from this family. Just reciprocity, just acknowledgement. My computer pings with an email notification. The subject line makes my breath catch. Urgent. Mom in hospital, your fault. I close the laptop without opening it. Another manipulation tactic. Last week it was Dad's heart palpitations. The week before, Cody's threatened eviction. If they actually needed the money for a medical emergency, they could sell the boat. I say, more to myself than to Daniel. The boat they bought after I paid for their new roof. Daniel's phone rings. He checks the screen and grimaces. It's your father, 4th time today. Block the number, I say, turning back to my designs. All of them. After Daniel leaves, I stand at my office window overlooking downtown Austin. The winter sunlight catches on glass buildings, creating patterns of light and shadow across the cityscape. For a moment, I see the world as a series of designs, clean lines, intentional spaces, purpose in every element. My family has no clean lines, no intentional spaces, just demands that expand to fill whatever I provide. My phone vibrates with a text from an unknown number, me mother using someone else's phone. Your father and I gave you everything. We sacrificed for your education, for this selfish behavior to be our repayment. I place the phone in my desk drawer and close it firmly. The calendar on my wall shows today's date, with a red circle around the 15th of March, the foreclosure date if they don't repay what they owe. Not just money, respect, acknowledgement, truth. I turn back to my designs, my hands steady as I adjust the line of a curved wall, creating space for light to enter from an unexpected angle. On auction day, I adjust my silk blouse in the rearview mirror, a simple cream-colored piece without embellishment. The statement would be in my actions today, not my attire. The auction sign reflects in my windshield as I pull onto the familiar street where I grew up. Morning light casts long shadows across manicured lawns, the kind of neighborhood where people pretend not to watch while seeing everything. My morning ritual had been deliberate strong black coffee, 15 minutes of breathing exercises, Daniel's reassuring phone call confirming all legal bases covered. The spare key to my parents' house sits abandoned on my kitchen counter, a small brass reminder of ties severed. You're sure about this? Daniel had asked. I've never been more certain of anything, I'd answered, my voice steadier than it had any right to be. Now, turning into the familiar driveway, my certainty falters for the first time since Thanksgiving, not from doubt, but from the spectacle awaiting me. They stand assembled like troops defending territory, me entire family forming a human barricade before the auction sign. Dad at the center, shoulders squared in the same posture he'd used to intimidate mortgage brokers and car salesmen for decades. Mom beside him, handkerchief clutched to her mouth, eyes red-rimmed and accusing. Tessa with her arms crossed, designer sunglasses pushed atop her perfect hair. Cody, unshaven and hollow-eyed, hands jammed into the pockets of jeans that probably still carry my fingerprints on the bills that bought them. Mrs. Lawson from across the street waters her geraniums with suspicious dedication. The Hendersons slow their morning walk to a casual crawl. I park, turn off the engine, and sit in momentary silence. The inside of my car feels like the eye of a hurricaneath last pocket of calm, before stepping into the storm they've prepared. Dad strides toward my car before I can fully exit. What do you think you're doing? Exactly what the certified letter explained I would do. I shut the car door with a gentle click that somehow sounds like a gunshot in the morning quiet. Your mother hasn't slept in weeks. His voice drops to that private register he used for family shaming. Is this really what you want? To destroy the people who raised you? The laugh escapes before I can contain it, a sound so foreign that Tessa flinches. Raised me or used me? Mom steps forward, handkerchief now dabbing at invisible tears. We gave you everything, Sloan. A beautiful home, good schools. Mounting debt and impossible expectations. I finished for her. Which reminds me, how's that $45,000 loan repayment coming along? Dad's face transforms, anger dissolving into something calculated and unctuous. Sweetheart, we've always supported your little design business. Remember how proud we were when you got that first big contract? The one you told Uncle Robert was only offered to me because the client wanted to sleep with me? The words slip out like perfectly sharpened knives. Yes, I remember. You're blowing things out of proportion, Tessa interjects, stepping forward. Families say things they don't mean sometimes. Then you didn't mean it when you told your divorce attorney I'd cover your legal fees indefinitely? I retrieve my phone, scrolling to find the text. Let me quote you. Sloane's good for it. She's always good for it. Cody finally speaks, voice cracking slightly. We always believed in your dreams. No, you believed in my bank account. I straightened my spine, feeling taller with each word. You believed I would never stop giving. The auctioneer's car appears at the end of the street, followed by 3 vehicles I recognize from the inspection day. Potential buyers. Dad's voice drops to a hissing whisper. You'll regret this for the rest of your life. I reach into my purse and withdraw the printed transcript of his Thanksgiving voicemail. The paper trembles slightly in the morning breeze as I hold it up. All you do is take, Sloan. You've never given this family anything that matters. I read his words back to him, each syllable a small, precise revenge. I'm simply honoring your assessment. Mom begins to wail, a performance worthy of community theater. Tessa rushes to console her while shooting daggers at me with her eyes. My children will never know their aunt after this. I'll make sure of it. The auctioneer approaches, clipboard in hand, nodding professionally at the family tableau. You don't get to threaten me anymore. My voice sounds foreign to my own ears, steady, clear, uncompromising. You didn't see me when I gave everything. You don't get to see me now that I'm taking it back. I turn toward the auctioneer and extend my hand. Mr. Calloway, I believe we're ready to begin. 3 months later, I stand in the center of an empty adobe-style house, my footsteps echoing against terracotta tiles. Morning light filters through uncurtained windows, casting golden rectangles across bare walls. The realtor watches me from the doorway, giving me space as I absorb every detail. The previous owners maintained the original vigas, she says, pointing to the exposed wooden ceiling beams. Hundreds of years old. My fingers trace the rough-hewn texture of a wall. Santa Fe sits 700 miles from my old life in Austin, a distance measured in more than just geography. The courtyard gets wonderful afternoon sun, the realtor continues. Perfect for coffee or reading. I step outside into the small enclosed patio. A wind chime tinkles softly. The Sangre de Cristo Mountains rise purple against the horizon, ancient witnesses to countless fresh starts. I'll take it, I say. The realtor blinks, surprised. Don't you want to see the rest of the properties I lined up? I shake my head. This one feels right. 2 hours later, I sat across from her at a notary's office, signing paperwork for a house half the size of my Austin home. Each signature feels like setting down another heavy stone I've been carrying. When the final document is complete, the realtor hands me a single key. Congratulations, she says. It's a beautiful home. No, I corrected her gently. It's becoming one. That evening, I unpack only what I need: a small suitcase, my drafting table, and 1 box of essential kitchen items. The rest remains in storage until I decide what parts of my old life deserve space in the new one. I unfold my drafting table by the largest window and clip a fresh sheet of paper to its surface. As the sun sets, painting the mountains in watercolor shades of pink and orange, I create my first design sketch in Santafino for a client, but for myself. The simple act of putting pencil to paper washes a calm through me that I haven't felt in years. My phone buzzes, a text from Daniel. Your parents moved into the West Side apartments yesterday. 2-bedroom, Tessa helped them. I set the phone down without responding. Another text follows. Cody took a job at Miller Construction, full-time with benefits. A small smile lifts the corner of my mouth, not because I take pleasure in their reduced circumstances, but because reality has finally arrived for my family, bringing its harsh but necessary lessons. My cousin Leah calls the following week. I answer while unpacking books in what will become my small home office. Mom told me everything, she says. The auction, Santa Fe, all of it. I pause, a design anthology balanced in my hand. And I'm bringing homemade bread when I visit next month. Her voice warms the line. Unless you'd prefer wine? Both, I answer, surprised by the laugh that bubbles up from somewhere deep. Both it is. Clients find me even before my website lists my new address. Word travels in design circles, and within weeks my calendar fills with consultations. These projects carry a different energy chosen for their creative potential, rather than their ability to fund family emergencies. One evening, while hanging a series of architectural prints in my bedroom, my phone chimes with an email notification. The subject line reads simply, "From Tessa." I sit on the edge of my bed, phone in hand, thumb hovering over the screen. For several minutes, I breathe through the complex storm of emotions her name still triggers. Then I opened it. I get it now. I'm sorry. 6 words. No explanations, no excuses, no requests. Just 5 words that arrive months late. I read them again, then again. Tears blur my vision as I set the phone on my nightstand. Not because her apology heals anything, but because it confirms what I already knew. I made the right choice by leaving. Instead of responding, I archive the email. Not from anger, but because those 5 words belong to her journey, not mine. My healing doesn't require her understanding, though part of me hopes she finds her own. The cabin decision comes in weeks later. I drive up for a weekend, unlocking the door to memories both beautiful and painful. Family photos still hang on pine-paneled walls, forced smiles and careful poses that captured the illusion we maintained for years. I take each one down, stacking them in a cardboard box. In their place, I hang framed quotes about courage and transformation. By Sunday afternoon, the cabin breathed differently, its purpose clarified. On the drive back to Santa Fe, I make calls to women's business networks about hosting retreats for entrepreneurs rebuilding their lives. From Family Hideaway to Phoenix Workshop, my first client says when she sees the space, perfect symmetry. The cabin that once housed my family's entitlement now shelters women learning to rise. Sometimes healing arrives not in what we keep, but in how we transform what broke us. 1 year later, Sloane stood barefoot on her Santa Fe patio, watching the sunrise paint the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in shades of amber and rose. She wrapped her hands around a ceramic mug, the warmth seeping into her palms. No phone buzzed in her pocket, no anxious knot tightened her stomach. "You look peaceful," said Daniel, leaning against the adobe doorframe. Their relationship had evolved from lawyer to friend to something neither rushed to define. He wore faded jeans and held his own coffee, his presence comfortable in her space. "I am," Sloane answered simply. Inside, her home reflected her transformed life, smaller than her Austin house but filled with intention. A hand-woven rug from a local artisan anchored her living room. Copper pendant lights cast warm pools on her drafting table where blueprints for the Women's Business Retreat Center waited for final approval. The doorbell chimed. "That'll be Margot," Sloane said, padding across the cool tile floor. "She's bringing the birthday cake." Her former assistant had followed her to Santa Fe, now a junior partner in their expanding firm. Behind Margot came Leah, cousin and unexpected ally, arms full of wildflowers. No one celebrates birthdays like someone who spent decades making other people's special days perfect while neglecting her own, Leah announced, placing the flowers on the kitchen counter. Sloane laughed, a sound that once emerged rarely now flowed freely. By evening, her patio glowed with string lights and candles. 8 people gathered around her table, friends who knew her story, who had never asked for more than she offered, who brought dishes and washed glasses without being asked. "Before we cut this masterpiece," Margot said, gesturing to the simple lemon cake, "I want to toast our birthday girl." Sloane braced herself. A lifetime habit. "To the woman who taught me that generosity without boundaries isn't generosity at all," Margot continued, raising her glass. "Who showed me that walking away isn't failure, it's sometimes the bravest choice." "To Sloane," the others echoed. Something expanded in her chest. Not pride, exact acceptance. Later, when only Daniel remained, helping load the dishwasher, Sloane's phone lit up with a notification. Tessa's yearly attempt at contact, right on schedule. "You don't have to read it," Daniel said, noticing her hesitation. "I know." Sloane tucked the phone away without opening the message. Not from anger, the rage had burned clean months ago, but from certainty. Some doors stay closed not because we're holding grudges, but because we've found better rooms to live in. The next morning, Sloane drove to the cabin retreat center. What had once been her family's weekend getaway now housed women rebuilding lives shattered by circumstance or choice. The sign at the entrance read, "Your worth is not measured by what you give away." A young designer named Alicia waited on the porch, a portfolio clutched to her chest. Sloane recognized the hunger for validation in her eyes. "My parents think interior design is glorified shopping," Alicia blurted as they sat down. "They want me in law school." Sloane nodded. "Show me your work first, then we'll talk about parents." After reviewing Alicia's promising portfolio, Sloane poured them both iced tea. "People confuse love with usefulness," she said simply. "I spent 3 decades trying to earn approval through sacrifice, but real love sees you even when you stop providing." "Did your family ever understand?" Sloane smiled. "That was never the point." As the sun dipped toward the horizon, Sloane sat alone on the cabin dock, feet skimming the water. Where silence had once meant suppression, it now meant peace. Her phone remained in her cabin, unanswered texts a distant concern. "I built my life on silence," she whispered to the rippling lake, "not because I had nothing to say, but because what I said finally mattered." The email notification chimes while I'm preparing my morning coffee. Mom's name appears on my screen, and warmth blooms in my chest. It's been a week since we returned from Hawaii, a trip I spent months planning for her 60th birthday. I tap the notification with my index finger, lips curving into a smile. The smile freezes, then crumbles as I read the first line. "Madison, I've been thinking about our wonderful time in Hawaii. I'd like to continue living that way. I'll need $1,000 monthly from you going forward." The coffee mug slips from my hand, shattering against the kitchen tile. Hot liquid splashes my bare ankles, but I barely register the sting. My eyes remain fixed on the screen, reading and rereading the words, as if they might rearrange themselves into something that makes sense. The resort, the restaurants, the shopping, it was exactly how I deserve to live, just so I can keep living like I did in Hawaii. Being a good daughter isn't one time, it's a lifetime. My throat constricts. 1 week. Just 1 week after what she called the best week of my life in Hawaii. And now this. I sink into a kitchen chair, coffee forgotten as memories from just 2 weeks ago flood back. The careful planning, the extra hours at work, the $6,200 price tag that represented 6 months of dedicated saving. I'd wanted to give Mom something special, something she would remember forever. I can still see her face at the airport when I revealed our destination. The way tears pooled in her eyes as she pulled me into a fierce hug, whispering, "My perfect child," against my hair. It had been worth every penny, every sacrifice. That's how it had always been. Derek and Laura, my older siblings, were the ones who needed help. Mom helped Derek with a down payment on his house 5 years ago. She contributed significantly to Laura's lavish wedding. I was the independent one, the one who made her own way, the one who never asked for anything. Until now, it seems I'm expected to give everything. My hands tremble as I dial Mom's number. I steady my voice with practiced precision. Mom, I need to talk to you about that email. Madison, perfect timing. I was just looking at a new jacket online. With your help, I could. It was a one-time gift, Mom. I interrupt, the words leaving my mouth with surprising steadiness. I can't commit to monthly payments. A beat of silence follows. Then Mom's voice returns, sharper now. I gave Derek money for his down payment. I paid for Laura's wedding. Now it's your turn. That's different, I say. You chose to help them. I'm not asking you for anything. This is what family does, Madison. Her voice takes on that familiar, disappointed tone. I raised you better than this. I'm sorry, but I can't. My hands have stopped trembling, I notice. The Hawaii trip was special, but it's not something I can provide monthly. The call ends without resolution, but it's only the beginning. An hour later, another email arrives, this one from both Derek and Laura. You've raised Mom's expectations with that extravagant trip. It's on you now. We have our own families to support, our own expenses. You're single, you can afford this. If you truly valued family, you'd understand your responsibility. I stare at their words, feeling the weight of familial expectation crushing down. For 32 years, I've been the good daughter, the reliable one, the one who never causes problems. Now, a single act of generosity has become a trap, threatening not just my financial security, but my very identity within the family. My finger hovers over the reply button. Everything I've built, my independence, my savings, my peace of mind, hangs in the balance of what I do next. The walls of my quiet apartment suddenly feel like they're closing in. They've made their demand. Now I have to decide if I'm willing to pay the price. That same week, I was focused on my work, but still thinking what I should do as that email came out unexpectedly. On Wednesday, the email notification chimes while I'm reviewing quarterly reports at work. Mom's name appears, and I hesitate before opening it. It's been 3 days since our tense phone call about her monthly allowance request. I tap the notification, expecting an apology. Instead, my screen fills with a colorful Caribbean cruise itinerary, complete with excursion packages and premium dining options. The subject line reads, "Booked a 5-day Caribbean cruise. Can you cover it?" My throat constricts as if someone's tightening a necktie. The office around me continues its Wednesday morning bustle, but I can only focus on the $2,800 total highlighted in yellow at the bottom of the itinerary. While staring at the email, I hear a voice. Madison, you okay? My coworker Jen passes by with concern etched across her face. I nod mechanically and minimize the email, needing to sit down at my desk. The attached note reads, "Already told everyone you're treating me to continue our Hawaii celebrations. Can't wait to tell you about the specialty restaurants I've reserved. This isn't just about monthly payments anymore. It's an assumed ongoing obligation, a blank check written against my account without my consent." My phone buzzes with a group text from Derek. Family video call in 15. Mom wants to discuss her cruise. 15 minutes later, I'm hiding in the office break room, laptop open as 4 faces appear on screen. Mom sits center frame in her living room, flanked by Derek and Laura on either side. My face occupies a tiny square in the corner. There she is, Mom beams. My little cruise director. Before I can respond, Laura jumps in, sympathy carefully calculated in her voice. "Madison, we're so excited Mom told us about your cruise gift. It's really special you're doing this after Hawaii." I start, but Derek talks over me. "Mom deserves this after all she sacrificed for us," he says, his tone suggesting I've already agreed. "You owe her, Maddie, we all do, but you're in the best position to show appreciation." Laura nods emphatically. We're already stretched thin with the kids' college funds. Between piano lessons and soccer camp this summer, there's nothing left. "I haven't agreed to any cruise," I finally interject, my voice firmer than I expected. Mom's smile falters, then returns with dangerous brightness. "But sweetheart, I've already told my friends about the cruise. We're planning to meet up with Aunt Diane's group in Nassau. Don't embarrass me now." The call ends 30 minutes later with nothing resolved. I return to my desk, hands trembling slightly, to find Jen hovering nearby. "Everything good with your family situation?" she asks casually. I couldn't help overhearing. A chill runs through me. How much had she heard? More importantly, who had she told? That evening, a Facebook notification draws me to Mom's page. She's posted our Hawaii photos with a caption that makes my stomach clench. "Some kids give once and disappear. Others stay loyal. blessed to have created such wonderful memories with Madison. Hoping for many more trips together. The comments section fills with heart emojis and supportive messages, including one from Laura. Mom deserves the world after raising us alone. I close the app and pull up my banking spreadsheet instead. The numbers don't lie. $1,000 monthly would deplete my emergency fund within 8 months, and my entire savings within 2 years. Add in surprise cruises, and I'd be in debt before Christmas. My phone buzzes again, a group text from Derek and Laura. Family means supporting each other, Derek writes. If you truly valued family, you'd understand your responsibility. Laura adds, Mom's getting older. These experiences mean everything to her. I stare at their messages, a familiar pressure building behind my eyes. For the first time, I wonder if I've misunderstood what family means. Maybe I am the selfish one. My phone pings with another notification. It's Rachel, my college roommate, commenting on Mom's Facebook post. Such a lovely trip. But remember, a gift isn't a contract. Don't let anyone rewrite the terms of your generosity, Madison. I read her words 3 times, feeling something loosen in my chest. Rachel sees what my family cannot or will not. As I stare at Mom's cruise itinerary, I wonder, should I clearly refuse now and weather the immediate storm, or should I delay and try to gently set boundaries over time? The first option risked a complete family rupture, while the second might trap me in months of manipulation. What would you do when a generous gift suddenly becomes an unending obligation? My finger hovers over the reply button, the future of my family relationships hanging in the balance of what I do next. A week passes really quickly. On Tuesday the following week, during the lunch break, the notification chimes while I'm ordering lunch at my favorite sandwich shop. I almost ignore it until I see it's from Aunt Evelyn, Mom's oldest sister who rarely contacts me. Madison, is everything okay with your mother? Her posts make it sound like you've abandoned her. My stomach knots as I fumble with my phone, nearly dropping it while pulling up Mom's social media page. There they are, a dozen throwback photos from Hawaii, each carefully captioned for maximum effect. Sunsets in Maui with my daughter. Lucky you if your children treat you this way all the time. I wish I had that kind of child. Remember when my daughter took me parasailing? Now she won't even return my calls. The sandwich artist calls my name twice before I hear him. I take my food mechanically, finding a corner table where I can process what's happening. 3 more notifications pop up from extended family, Uncle Roy, cousin Melissa, even my father's sister whom Mom hasn't spoken to in years. Why are you abandoning your mother after everything she's done for you? I set my phone face down, untouched sandwich forgotten. A text from my coworker Janine arrives next. Hey, your sister Laura mentioned your mom's situation at book club last night. Why did you stop paying? I heard your mom is really upset. My chest tightens. Book club? Laura doesn't even read. She attended specifically to spread this story. That evening, I discovered Mom has created a dream retirement Pinterest board, tagging me in expensive items, Mediterranean cruises, beachfront condos, designer luggage sets. Each pin includes notes like, Madison could make this happen if she wanted to, or, what a thoughtful daughter would give. In days to come, sleep becomes a luxury I can no longer afford. My phone buzzes constantly with family members weighing in. I start checking it every few minutes, bracing for the next attack. At work, I've begun closing my office door, something I've never done before. During a team lunch, my phone lights up with Mom's contact photo. Everyone at the table notices my flinch. You should take that, my boss says. Family's important. What she doesn't see is the text that preceded the call. I just told everyone at church how you abandoned me after Hawaii. Is that really the reputation you want? At night, I scroll through her social media posts, finding childhood stories I'd shared privately now displayed publicly with embellishments that make me sound like an ungrateful daughter. In one post, she describes how I refused to help with her medical bills, though she's never had significant medical expenses. The invasion feels complete when my college roommate forwards a message from Mom asking about my spending habits and whether I'm hiding money. I start a document titled Family Communications, meticulously saving screenshots of every message, every post, every demand. Next to it, I create a financial boundary plan, a simple spreadsheet showing exactly what I can reasonably afford to give, nothing, and what I actually owe, also nothing. The plan provides structure, but does nothing for the knot in my stomach that tightens each time my phone lights up. Thursday morning, I arrive at my desk to find a book placed carefully in the center. Boundaries. When to say yes, how to say number. Inside is a handwritten note. Been there. Call me if you need to talk. Barbara. Barbara, our office manager, has always seemed so composed. The idea that she might understand this chaos feels like finding an unexpected handhold on a crumbling cliff. Before I can thank her, my intercom buzzes. Madison, you have visitors in the lobby. Mom and Laura stand side by side near the reception desk. Mom in her church clothes, Laura looking uncomfortably formal for a Wednesday. Their faces transform into practiced smiles when they see me. Surprise! Mom calls too loudly. We thought we'd take you to lunch. The elevator ride down to the parking garage feels endless. Once inside my car, Mom's smile vanishes. Why are you being so selfish? After everything I've done for you. I grip the steering wheel, knuckles white. Name one thing you've done for me that wasn't also for yourself. The words escape before I can stop them, hanging in the sudden silence. How dare you? Laura interjects. Mom has sacrificed everything for us. But something shifts in Mom's expression, a flicker of panic, quickly masked by indignation. A memory surfaces with startling clarity. Me at 15, clutching an acceptance letter to a prestigious summer STEM program, full of pride until Mom explained she'd already promised that money to Laura's college fund. She's the oldest, Mom had said. Her needs come first. There will be other opportunities for you. There never were. You refused to let me attend that STEM program. I say, my voice steadier than I expected. You took the money Grandma left specifically for my education and gave it to Laura. That was different, Mom sputters. Family priorities. I've never asked you for anything, I interrupt, sitting taller. Not for college, not for my apartment, not for my car. Nothing. Why do I owe you now? The silence stretches between us. In that moment, I realize the Hawaii trip wasn't the beginning of this pattern, but merely its most expensive chapter. The manipulation has been lifelong, I just never had something valuable enough to extract before. 2 days later, Barbara introduces me to her sister's friend, a financial counselor who specializes in family dynamics. While my family only speaks to demand, Carolyn listens without judgment as I explain the situation. This isn't unusual, she tells me. When family members see someone as financially stable, especially a single woman, they often feel entitled to that stability. With Carolyn's guidance, I begin screening calls, responding to emotional appeals with factual statements. I understand you're disappointed, but I cannot provide financial support, becomes my mantra. In my apartment that evening, I draft an email establishing clear financial boundaries, reviewing each sentence for loopholes my mother might exploit. The document is almost complete when my phone rings Aunt Laverne, Mom's youngest sister. I've watched this pattern for years, she says after I explain the situation. Your mother did the same thing to me when I got my first big promotion. It doesn't stop unless you make it stop. My finger hovers over the send button on the email. The words feel both terrifying and liberating. I love you, but I will not fund your lifestyle. My financial boundaries are non-negotiable. I press send, then watch as the typing indicators appear almost immediately from Mom, Laura, and even Derek. The storm is coming, but for the first time, I'm ready for it. 3 days later, the cursor blinks on my screen like a heartbeat as I read through my email one last time. Each word carries the weight of a decision I've spent days crafting. No dramatic language, no emotional pleas, just facts and boundaries as clear as the line items in the quarterly reports I prepare at work. I love you, but I can't and won't fund a lifestyle. A birthday gift isn't a lifetime obligation. My finger hovers over the send button. The apartment feels unnaturally quiet, as if the walls themselves are holding their breath. I add one final sentence. I will not discuss this further. My decision is final. I press send. The familiar whoosh of the outgoing message sounds like freedom and terror simultaneously. My shoulders drop from their permanent position near my ears as I exhale completely for what feels like the first time in weeks. Then I wait for the explosion. But the explosion didn't come. Hours pass. The entire evening. My phone doesn't ring. No text notifications light up my screen. When I wake the next morning, I check my email immediately. Heart racing. But there's nothing from Mom, Derek, or Laura. 24 hours of complete silence. They're regrouping. Barbara warns when I mention it during our coffee break. preparing for the next assault. She's right. The silence breaks with a notification from Facebook. Mom has posted a lengthy paragraph about forgotten mothers and selfish children who abandon their parents after decades of sacrifice. The post ends with a question that makes my stomach clench. What kind of child forgets where they came from? I'm composing a measured response when another notification appears. My breath catches. Aunt Laverne, Mom's older sister who rarely speaks up about family matters, has commented publicly on the post. I've stayed quiet for 30 years, but Madison has always been the one left out, the one who got less, the one who managed on her own while others received help. She owes no one anything. My hands tremble as I read her words. Validation from an unexpected corner. Within minutes, Mrs. Peterson from church likes Aunt Laverne's comment. Then Dad's college roommate. Then 3 of Mom's book club friends. Someone comments, "There are always 2 sides to every story." By evening, Mom has quietly deleted the entire post. When I see the post vanish, I wonder if I should reach out with an olive branch or maintain my silence. Reconciliation tempts me, but I fear it would be seen as an opening to renew financial demands. What serves truth, better compassion, or consistency? My phone rings. Aunt Laverne, your mother is furious with me, she says without preamble, but it needed saying. Thank you, I whisper, throat tight. I've called Derek and Laura too, she continues, told them things they never knew about your childhood. How you gave up your birthday money when Derek needed new baseball equipment. How you babysat Laura's kids for free while she and Tom took weekend getaways. I close my eyes. You didn't have to do that. Someone should know what you've already given. Her voice softens. Someone besides you and me. The next day at work, Mom calls while I'm in a budget meeting. When I return to my desk, a sticky note from our receptionist reads, "Your mother called. Sounded upset. Said it's an emergency." Barbara appears with 2 other coworkers. "We told her you were in meetings all afternoon. We've got your back." Their protective circle reminds me I'm not alone anymore. When Barbara invites me to her book club that evening, I accept immediately. "We're reading that Boundaries book I gave you," she says with a wink. The book club welcomes me with wine and understanding nods. For the first time in weeks, I'm with people who aren't demanding pieces of me. The constant knot in my stomach loosens slightly. My phone buzzes during the discussion. Derek's name appears on my screen with a message I never expected. "Maybe we've been unfair. Can we talk?" I stare at his text, unsure how to respond. Before I can decide, another message arrives from Aunt Laverne. "Your cousins are asking me what happened with the Facebook post. Everyone's talking. Your mother hates it." I smile despite myself. The power dynamic has shifted. The extended family has stopped asking why I'm not supporting Mom. The final surprise comes that evening, from my neighbor across the hall. "Saw your mom and sister yesterday?" She mentions casually as we collect our mail. "Your sister was saying something about how she couldn't possibly cover the full amount your mom needs." I blink, processing this information. Mom has already moved on to her next target, Laura. As I unlock my apartment door, my phone chimes with yet another message. This time from Laura. The preview shows just 5 words. "This isn't fair to me." I slip my phone back into my pocket without opening the message. For the first time since Hawaii, I feel something unexpected. Not guilt, not anger, but something that might, with practice, become peace. A week later, after the posts and messages, the doorbell chimes just as I finish placing a fresh coffee mug on my newly purchased coaster. I check my phone, no texts, no warnings of visitors. My stomach tightens as I peer through the peephole. Mom and Laura stand in the hallway, Mom clutching a white bakery box while Laura shifts her weight from one foot to another. Their unexpected presence sends a jolt through my system, but I've prepared for this moment. What a surprise! I say, opening the door just wide enough to be seen but not enough to serve as an invitation. Mom's smile stretches too wide across her face. "We've been thinking about what you said, Madison." She lifts the bakery box. "Your favorite raspberry scones. Can we come in? Just to talk?" I step back, allowing them entry while maintaining physical distance. Laura's eyes dart around my apartment, landing on the new framed photo from my weekend hike with Barbara, evidence of a life continuing without their approval. "We realize things got heated," Laura says, her voice carefully modulated to convey sympathy I know she doesn't feel. Family shouldn't be divided like this. Mom nods eagerly. We've worked out a compromise. If we all pitch in together, you could cover half the monthly amount, just $500, and we'll find a way to manage the rest. Laura leans forward, voice dropping. Derek's thinking about it too. But you know how people talk? Your office manager, Barbara? Her sister works with Sheila from my book club. Word gets around about family situations. The implied threat lands with precision, but not the impact they expect. My hands remain steady as I gesture toward the kitchen table where my laptop sits open. I've been busy too, I say, retrieving a folder from beside my computer. Financial counseling has been enlightening, so has starting a blog about family financial manipulation. Mom's coffee cup pauses halfway to her lips. A what? I slide printouts across the table. Screenshots of Mom's Facebook posts about ungrateful children, copies of emails demanding money, text message threads, where my refusals were met with escalating emotional appeals. I've documented everything. I say, my voice calmer than I feel. Your public posts, the private demands, the way you've discussed me with others without my knowledge. People already know the truth. Laura's face pales. You can't just... I don't need your approval to protect myself anymore. I turn my laptop screen toward them, revealing a draft post titled, When Being the Good Kid Comes with Interest. Mom sets down her untouched coffee with shaking hands. Madison, this is family business, private. Privacy works both ways. You chose to make our disagreement public when it served you. Laura and Mom remain standing while I stay seated, a reversal of power dynamics that doesn't escape my notice. I begin reading from my screen, my voice steady. The $6,200 Hawaiian vacation I saved for 6 months to give my mother became an unexpected down payment on a lifetime subscription to guilt. 1 week after returning home, I received an email requesting $1,000 monthly payments going forward, followed by demands for cruise funding. When I hesitated, the family mobilization began. You can't share family business publicly, Mom interrupts, her face flushing crimson. I continue reading without acknowledging the interruption, describing the coordinated email campaign from siblings, the social media posts designed to pressure me, the invasion of my workplace relationships. Mom's breathing grows rapid. People will think I'm a terrible mother. I finally look up, meeting her eyes directly. You've already told your story, the one where I'm selfish and ungrateful. Now I'm telling mine. This will destroy me, she whispers, tears welling. Your reputation is not my responsibility anymore. I say, closing my laptop. Neither is your lifestyle. The silence that follows feels both weightless and heavy, like the moment after a storm passes but before the damage is assessed. Laura stares at the floor, her earlier confidence evaporated. Did Mom really make you give up that science program? Laura asks quietly, not looking at either of us. When you were 15? The question catches me off guard. It's the first time in our adult lives Laura has acknowledged any sacrifice I made. Mom grabs her purse, heading for the door without answering. This conversation is over. As the door closes behind Mom, Laura lingers, uncertainty written across her face. I wonder if any relationship can be salvaged with either sibling after today's confrontation. Derek's earlier text suggests possible reconciliation, but Laura's complicity runs deeper. My phone pings with a notification. I glance down to see an email from the Financial Independence Project, a major financial advice website. Subject: We'd like to feature your blog post, When Being the Good Kid Comes with Interest. Laura watches my expression change. What is it? I place the phone screen down on the table. Just confirmation that some stories need to be told. The apartment feels different after they leave, not emptier but clearer somehow, as if the air itself has been purified. I move to the window, watching them walk to their car below. Mom's shoulders are hunched forward. Laura keeps glancing back at my building. For the first time in months, I feel no urge to call after them, to apologize, to make things right at my own expense. The cost of truth has been high, but the price of silence would have been my entire future. I return to my laptop and click Publish. In a year, I will focus only on myself and my own journey. I stand at the podium, surveying the 20 faces looking back at me. The community center's fluorescent lights wash over us, but the atmosphere feels anything but sterile. A year ago, I couldn't have imagined standing here. I tell them, my voice steady where it once would have trembled. I thought saying no to family meant I was selfish. A woman in the front row nods, dabbing at the corner of her eye with a tissue. I recognize that look, the relief of finding someone who understands your struggle. Financial boundaries aren't about refusing to help those you love. I continue, resting my hands flat on the podium. They're about ensuring you don't disappear in the process of helping others. The words flow naturally now, without the guilt that once strangled them. I share my story not with anger or bitterness, but with the calm clarity of someone who's walked through fire and emerged stronger. When I describe the moment I finally stood up to Mom, several people lean forward in their chairs, as if physically drawn to the possibility of freedom. After the workshop, a silver-haired woman approaches. "You've given me permission to protect myself," she whispers, squeezing my hand. "Thank you." Walking home, I pull out my phone and check the confirmation email from the travel agency. The tickets to Hawaii are booked, one for me, one for Aunt Laverne. I smile at the itinerary, feeling nothing but pure anticipation. Last year's trip had been beautiful, but burdened each moment weighted with the invisible cost of proving my worth as a daughter. This time will be different. No hidden expectations, no scorekeeping, just joy, freely given and received. I learned gifts should be given freely, without strings attached, especially to myself. I tell Aunt Laverne later that evening as we raise our glasses around my dining table. Barbara clinks her glass against mine, her eyes crinkling with warmth. To Madison, who showed us all how to write our own stories, not the ones others script for us. 2 other women from the financial workshop join in the toast. The candles flicker across our faces, illuminating this small circle that has become more family to me than blood ever was. My publisher wants the manuscript by September. I announce, still barely believing the words. What began as a personal blog about financial manipulation within families has transformed into a book deal. The working title glows on my laptop screen, "The Price of Peace, Breaking Free from Financial Manipulation." "Did you tell them about the retirement planning conference?" Barbara asks. I nod, unable to contain my smile. They think it's perfect. Timing the book release will coincide with my speaking engagement. My phone buzzes with a text. Derek's name appears on the screen. "Could we meet for coffee next week? Been thinking about what you said about boundaries." "Laura's asking Mom for money now, and I'm starting to see what you meant." I set the phone down, neither immediately accepting nor declining. That's a decision for tomorrow. Tonight is for celebration. 1 month later, I stand alone on a Hawaiian beach, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of amber and rose. I raise my phone, turning the camera toward myself instead of away. The photo captures my smile with Diamond Head in the background, evidence of a moment fully inhabited, not just documented for someone else's approval. As I watch the sunset alone on that beach, I wondered if some relationships are meant to be temporary, even family ones. What would you choose? Maintaining family connections at any cost, or preserving your peace even if it means some relationships might end? The answer whispers through me, clear as the waves lapping at my feet. Some prices are too high, even for love.